A bit of history on this project. I started this project a year ago, pretty much exactly a year ago, I think, as far as I remember. I was invited to do an AU class on AToMM, also on Halloween, and I just decided randomly to go with a spooky sword. You know, I didn't have anything else in mind, but a spooky sword. That's what it is, and I'm gonna show you the end result that we're aiming for. Um, so why is this a one-year project? Unfortunately, it is because I work very slowly and I put a lot of pressure on myself in the sense of I have joined 3 different projects and now I'm trying to do a whole different thing. So that's like my first advice: don't put too much on your shoulders. I'm still guilty of it. I think I'll do it for a very long time, but it's something I'm striving towards not doing. So this is the weapon. I know it looks very weird. Let me see if I can get a good screenshot of what it should look like more or less in game. There we go. By the way, where is our chat? The lecture hall chat. If I need to see any messages. Okay, got it. All right, so yes, so this is the weapon that I'm making. This is the final, more or less final. I think I've got a couple of things to actually fix, but more or less final version of it. I'm going with a very demon lava thing, a demonic vibe, but whatever. So, how did I start this project? Because the thing is, with this project, I decided to go a different route compared to what I usually do. Usually, I start with, let's say, let me see if I can do a quick. Let's see. So let's just do this. So if I want to make a chest, I take a box, I model it. You know, let's just add these and scale them out. Okay. There we go. Just do this. I'm doing a very rough thing here, so don't mind me. And perhaps line like this. Well, whatever. So perhaps I'll rip it right here, and then we have the lid at the top, and then the main chest at the bottom. Then what I would do is I would actually, let's separate this. Add a multiplier. Actually, I like this already. A subdivision subdivision modifier. There we go. Sorry. I don't actually say it out loud many times. So let's do this and that. There we go. So we have a nice chest here, right? I mean, it looks pretty cool. Let me just perhaps add a bit more here, here. The shortcuts that I'm using, I should actually switch them on. I'll switch them on. I'm sorry. But essentially, the shortcuts that I'm using are to select loop select. If someone doesn't know, to loop select, so edge loops is Alt and then click on the edge loops and it selects the whole thing, and then you add Shift on top of that to select multiple, and then Shift E is to crease the subdivision modifiers vertices. I don't think we can see the vertices. Okay, no, we cannot. But essentially, you see what it does. So let's just do the same here. And this is pretty much what I usually do with my projects. And then once I'm happy with this shape, I, for example, see if I can make a fire res. Let's go with this shape, and then perhaps I Then I duplicate all these parts. I just hide them. Then I apply the apply all. There we go. Yes, perfect. And then we've got all this happening here, and then this becomes my high res, so high definition, high poly mesh, right? Then I do some sculpting on it. Just do some good sculpting, blah 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 blah, whatever. Not the main part here. So what I'm trying to say is, this becomes my high poly. Once it's done, once I'm happy with it, I leave it, and then I would make sure that there's two collections. So this is my way of working. It doesn't have to be your way of working. Let's make this chest HP, so high poly. Somehow I find myself doing chests all the time. It's probably my thing. Chest. Oh, okay. So now we've got these chests here. Then we can just switch these ones off, or we can switch these ones off, and then whatever we want, we leave. So, for example, if I actually want to leave this chest as is, because right now without modify, it looks extremely blocky. So I would actually prefer this shape. Let's perhaps apply it. And this is actually, what's try count? Try count is, it's a bit high, but it's okay. Like it can be lowered. I'm just not going to go into that right now, a bit later. And essentially, this would be my low poly. I would then like lower its loop try count. You know, let's just do this, and so also I select edge loops, double G, and then slide. So double G, well, tap G twice, and it slides the edge loop towards another edge loop. And essentially, then you just have to select everything. I believe right click, and then where is it? I cannot remember, but it is merge by distance. I just have this in my favorites. I believe it must be in vertex. Ah, that's why. There we go. Merge vertices. So that you have to be in vertex select mode. Then select everything. Merge vertices at center, at cursor, by collapse, or by distance. So essentially by distance, if there's a very small distance, for example, I can just rip that and move it away just ever so slightly, and you can't see it, but it's right here. Or it's, even if it's connected, you know, let's just do this. And that's right, it's connected. You can barely see, but if I select everything, merge vertices by distance, well, should have actually got closer. Let's just yes, or we can just overlap it. So there's still two vertices on the one thing, but we just do by distance, and it's gone. There we go. So if you find that useful, I'm glad. Some people say Bartlett. I'm not sure what in reference that is to. But so if you guys need to remind me. Ah, Star Trek. Cool. I haven't watched Star Trek, so sorry. So so if this is my low poly, I would actually lower the poly count and all this stuff, and then with my high poly, I would sculpt it. This looks terrible, but so if I don't actually like it, I can always just copy the this over and back up. If I really have to redo something, and usually what else I do is to add a bit more detail. I would make sure that all my sharp edges are creased. So instead of actually having, there we go. See, so I added more bigger subdivision modifier, and it still keeps the shape, which is very nice. And thanks to these crease lines here. Remember, the crease lines are Shift E, and then you can press 1 to have a full crease, or you can just move it back and forth. I think, let me see, can I? use a different. I think this one's too high poly anyway. But yeah, you can see it actually moves right there. But yeah, I just usually go Shift E1, and that just does the whole thing. Your weapon looks like and is held the same way as Bart. Okay, cool. I didn't know. I really didn't know. Alright. So, now that we have, like, let's say, so this is my HP. Just make that also HP. And then in the end, I would apply all. Sculpt mode. Let's add some. Oh no, yeah, obviously I don't have. What I usually do is I actually add time token. Like, and then obviously, to do this. And we have this lovely thing. Oh god. Okay, so Blender does that, yeah. There we go. So we can make lines, we can do whatever we want, we can just say no, it was terrible. There, and that will be our high poly. Yes, Star Trek, so yeah, absolutely. Never mind that I did it later, but and then what I would do is because you see what I did here is I actually copied the mesh over, and so the other mesh became. Let me just go into object mode. The other mesh, I started working it slowly away, cutting it away, so making less geometry. So I can just do this quickly, and then there we go. And then we select everything. I always set it by my favorites. Yeah, there we go. So if you right click on the on what you're using often, you can just say it should say add to quick favorites. Right now, because it's already in my quick favorites, it says remove. Doesn't matter. And then you can press Q, and then it just has the list of everything that you use. So I use face orientation, very useful thing to have under your quick favorites. By distance, edge groups, etc., etc. So yeah, and then we remove 78 vertices, and we've got 736 triangles. We could lower the poly count a bit more, whatever. Just doesn't really matter right now. I'll things I want to actually go through the sword quickly as well. So yeah, and obviously I'll be lowering it until I'm sure that it is low enough, right? But it is also overlapping nicely. So, for example, if my low poly, I don't know if you can see here, the difference between the high poly, so this is my high poly, right, and the low poly, right? In a bake, this will look rather bad. So you don't want to remove all of your detail. Things like this, things that don't really matter in the shape, they do barely. They literally don't do anything here. We need to remove them, right? Things like this, it's already breaking the shape. This we can definitely remove. See, the shape doesn't change, so obviously we can just remove that, and that makes our life so much easier. I mean, we're already at 332 triangles, right? And that's already wonderful. But obviously, it looks very crappy here, right? Not creepy. I mean, it's Halloween, yes, but and for me, yes, it is creepy because it just looks so bad. But you get the idea. So obviously, so this will be our high poly and low poly, and this is how it would usually work. So I would actually divide my base shape. So my base shape was this this one. Then I would actually use the subdivision modifier on it, and then I would apply it and sculpt it or do whatever I want to do. And then the other one I would actually lower the poly count, and then I would combine those. And usually they worked out very well for me. I think that workflow came from Blender Guru's Anvil, because I think that's how you worked. and I don't know, I just got used to it. But the sword here, I used it differently. I made it differently. I actually, so let's close this. I'm not going to save unless someone wants this eventually. Going once, going twice, not saved. So, spooky sword. Oh, it's already open. It's already open. So we've got this thing here, right? This is the, obviously, I'm sure many of you can recognize the Daedric Battle Axe from Skyrim. What I used it for is, I had screenshots of how it is held in game. So you can see that the handle, like in neutral position, is, so it's right here and right here. It's under this bend here, and it's right around this spot. So essentially, it's right under here. The hand must be here and over here, right? And then obviously we've got other positions. Block position. So we need a piece right here for the block position, right? Obviously, I think he holds it the same place as before at the bottom. A power attack, he holds it over here and here. Another, I'm not sure. No, it's not a power attack. It's just a normal attack. So also right here. So right now we're just making sure we know exactly where the because the thing is this this weapon is, it's so different in design that let me just show you. It's difficult. So if this were shorter or longer or a bit more out, it would look very weird. Luckily, I actually managed to make sure that it, it's more or less where I need it to be. Right. So that was the first job, and I'm just going to skip the whole shebang right here. So if you do this, what I did was I think I cut out this piece. Yeah, I cut out, selected this piece. To go to extra mode, if someone doesn't know, is Alt Z or Alt Z. Select this, Control D, separate by selection. Press B to do that, to get that menu, and then you can actually model the handle, this, to the amount that you need. So, for example, like this and like this. All right. Then we can just, I think that's, as far as I remember, that's how I did, because, like I said, I did this, I think, over a year ago. So I cannot be sure, but this is how I would do it nowadays. And then copy it over again. And we get this. Obviously, I would be doing it with the Daedric Battle Axe here. So I can actually see it. And I'll position these cylinders right here. And make sure that I know exactly where they are supposed to be. Now, if I remove these, I have the handle placements. I might have, yeah, see, it's actually weird. My face orientation is weird, but it doesn't really matter. They're just as used as guidelines. So this is how we started out. All right, not going to save anything. Let's carry on. All right, and then we started out the block out. So as you can see, I wanted to make a whole massive. So my idea was to make a very big, very chunk weapon, and I wanted it to look really creepy, not just creepy, but like demonic as well, because Halloween vibes and whatever. So we've got this thing. What I did, I believe, I took a cube, as you can see here. As far as I remember, let me just show you what exactly I should be remembering. So we had a cube. We scale it down. We scale it out like this. Yeah, okay. This is actually starting to make sense. And then we just move it on the x-axis. We can so all of this whole design was I just came up with it in my head. So I didn't take it from anywhere. I just decided, I want to try something like this. So this is the base shape, right? And let's actually make. Alright. Okay. If someone is confused as to what I'm doing, or you have questions, please ask. If you want me to switch on my keyboard shortcuts that I'm using, please let me know so that I can actually I'll switch them on. Sorry, I had technical issues a bit earlier today, so I didn't actually get around to doing that, and I totally forgot. So if anyone has questions, or you don't know what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, just let me know, please. Because I'm rambling on, and I'm not sure if everyone gets it, because we really don't have that much time. But anyway, so obviously now we have the cube. We can actually add a subdivision modifier to it. We don't even need to add the creases, because if we add the creases, there's literally no difference, except close this. If I add, okay, so there's a bit of a bit of geometry, extra geometry here. I would actually prefer to add more. But anyway, right. The wireframe mode, you can access it by pressing Shift Z, or obviously by bringing up the pie menu with the Z shortcut. I'm going over the basics, like the most simple shortcuts, just in case someone actually doesn't know about them, or if someone feels like they need a reminder. Because I mean, sometimes even I forget while I'm working, I forget what is wireframe mode. I try all this Control Z, Alt Z, and then press Shift Z, and it actually works. So it's a nice reminder. So please don't be offended if you feel like I'm trying to do basic stuff. I'm not. Just a reminder, I think, is always a good thing. So anyway, enough of my rambling. So obviously then we go into Sculpt Mode, because this is what all the cool guys do, all the cool kids. Line Topo, at least that's what I do. And then check this out. You can do this awesome stuff. This is the snake hook brush. It's a very cool brush. I really like it. Just do all sorts of really cool designs with it. So, for example, if I want to follow, right now I'm following this design, but obviously initially it was I just made it from imagination. And we can just pull this out, or make this smaller. To make it smaller and bigger, is the shortcut is F. So just to make this, and then make this, and this, and this. And hey, we actually have a. Oh wait, I didn't actually do this part. Let me just do that. Alright, so if we actually do this, we basically have the same shape, which is really cool. Now, obviously, to make it better, we need to make sure that this lines up with that, and this lines up with this, and we might have to remove this, and we're making an absolute mess right here. It's terrible, I know. Fine. This is not the actual sword, luckily. So, as you can see, we actually start sculpting it. Now, usually when sculpting, we will be doing, when I sculpt, I do a bit more like detailing work. I don't sculpt, I don't make the main shape of an object by sculpting. As you saw, I make the main shape by modeling it, especially using the Subdivision Modifier. Here, I prefer to, well, not prefer, this time I tried to actually go a different path, the whole sculpting way. That's, like I said, all the cool kids use it. Well, not the actual professionals. They go into ZBrush, they start sculpting the thing, and I start holding my head and be like, what? And so I decided, I should actually start learning how to do this. Obviously, this is only Blender. This is apparently ZBrush's sculpting is way better, but just rambling on. Either way, it's a different workflow that I would actually advise to try if you haven't already. Knowing different workflows always helps, at least because you know what other people are doing, why they're doing it, and you will also learn a lot of new, really cool tricks. So, for example, if you are making modeling, like for example, I was modeling that chest, and you want to add like tentacles or something, and then you just okay. So let's say this is the chest, right? And you start adding tentacles and whatever, right? And you have this really cool tentacly chest, right? And you can even if you have a ready low poly model, you can easily just model around this. You can actually just make a retopologized version of these horns on the chest, which is actually a cool idea. We might actually talk about that. But anyway, so that's what it is. Now, I'm not going to save this. The next few saves, because what I do, obviously, as you can see, I have a massive amount of saves. The 50 isn't even close to what I usually get. And 80 megabyte is just nothing. Usually I get around 100 to 150 saves because I'm just that paranoid that at one point I'm going to make a weird brushstroke that will destroy everything, and then I'm going to be cursing my name forever. So you don't really have to work like this, but it is actually a good thing to make sure that you have multiple saves of your work, so you can actually see it. As far as I know, in ZBrush, you can actually save your history. I'm not sure, so if anyone uses ZBrush, they can save that. Let me know. So yes. So this is how I work. And usually I would also write down, okay, so here I am sculpting, here I am doing retopo or whatever I'm doing, or here I'm doing the base modeling. But I think I was a bit too lazy. But as you work, you kind of know where more or less your work is, and if you don't, you can at least just click around and see what it is. So I would prefer, I would advise to actually name your saves properly. So always make sure that everything that you have is ordered. Otherwise, you will be working in a very messy workplace, which will be slowing you down. And I've encountered it very, very often, at least in personal experience. I've done it many times, and it is frustrating. And sometimes you can lose progress because of that. So yeah, it is important to actually name your projects properly, at least the saves. I mean, for example, you will see, just going over this quickly, as you can see, I'm trying different designs here. It's actually not too bad. Oh, shucks. I actually closed it. There we go. So, for example, if I will be working in, let's say here, right, where we have the base mesh here, you can see that okay, even this is bad, but usually this collection will be called Sword HP, so high poly, and then the other collection will be called, it will have the low poly of the sword, and it will be called Sword LP. And that's how I usually work. So going over the, let's see what we have in our number 4. So it seems I have started again because I was not happy with how it came out. So that's normal. It's fine. And then we have it already, a finished design. I don't remember how I actually got here. But yeah, this is the finished design. I actually quite enjoy it, and you can actually see that the handles are almost there. So, for example, right here, I would have to just move it around and make sure that it's the handles are placed correctly. There we go. There we go. I'm also doing a very crappy job right now because it should be a bit less guesswork. But yeah, this is how it should look at the end. So that when you actually are finished, your character can actually hold on to these parts. I see a question coming up, or whatever it is. Alright, cool. Now we will be going over, I think mostly what I'm doing in the next few parts here is I'm trying to I was actually trying to make it sharper. I was using the scrape brush. As you can see, we can actually scrape away, and it gives that edge, edgy looking. Okay, not edgy. The whole blade is edgy, but that you can actually see that it's a cutting edge, right? So, okay, we have a question. Do you reference the battle axe handles for realism, or to match how the characters are modeled holding different items? That makes sense. So essentially, how this works, how the weapon system works in Skyrim, is that there are different animations set for the weapon. So, for example, this weapon will be set as a battle axe. Even though I call it a sword, in essence, it will be held like a battle axe. So that is why I use the handles as... sec. Goodness. Apologies. There we go. That's why I use the handles as my reference, as my guides, to make sure that the character will be holding it properly. So you can see right here, very many polys, but this is high poly, obviously. And just don't press edit mode. So, as you can see, I've added I made sure that the character can hold it in the same places, because essentially, if you add, let's say you add a cube, right? You can displace it and you can put it right here. You implement it as a NIF, and you implement it as a weapon, right? Because all of this, right? This is only a visual thing. It's a shape. Everything else is essentially just data. So the data for this thing is that it's a battle axe. So, for example, if I want it to be a sword or held as a sword, it will most probably, he will hold them right here. So if it was a cube, he'll still be standing in this position, but there will be a cube floating right here, right? So it just depends on how you make the how you make the well, creation kit see it, how you make the Skyrim engine see it. The rest, it's literally just for so so that it actually looks like you're holding it with your hands. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Like, but anyway, now we can see that I made the blade sharper. Quick non-lecture question: how to show how to I show the stream and chat at once? Sorry. Um, show the stream and chat at once. You should be able to. I'm not sure. But anyway, I will carry on with the lecture for now. So if you're sculpting and you want a nice shape, a very good brush is a scrape brush, because you can literally scrape away at the mesh. And I mean, you can, okay, it's very weird here, but as you can see, for example, right here, you can see a very nice edge that, just makes it look a bit more detailed, a bit more like an actual blade, if that makes sense. So we're just going to remove that. We're going to go into, let's see, what is number 13? Ah, yes, 13. Alright. Ah, yes, so this is where I started playing around with different designs. Let me reverse a bit. Let me see, where did I start with these designs? Right. Yeah, see, I forgot how to actually go out of wireframe mode. Where did I start with this? Let me see. Goodness, okay. Is it number 9? I should have been a bit more prepared. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Interesting. So, let's go to number 13 again. I just want to say that the sword looks sick as hell. Thank you very much. I really, really appreciate it. So, for these lines here, I used the snake hook. So, we've actually got some space here. And let me show you what exactly I mean by using a snake hook. Ah, crap. Okay, it's at its strongest. So, if you move around the mesh, you can actually create these really cool designs. I'm making a very terrible job right now, but I'm just trying to show you what exactly I'm. Yeah, you see, this is what I got. So if you ever like one like tentacly design, you can literally just use snake hook on it, and just get that, and already you have like let's say I have a chest again, right? So this right here, this space here will be the chest lid, and I'd be like whoop whoop, and then we have like this tentacly design on the chest, and we're just like wow, this is sick or whatever, right? And we can just wow our project managers and be like, okay, see what I got, and they'll be like. So yes, snake hook is a wonderful tool. I really recommend playing around with it. That's what I really would advise as well. Most of this lecture is just me rambling about how I made this, but I do try and throw in a good advice here and there. And my main advice with tools like sculpting and texturing and everything, play around with it. Don't try and just to learn it, but literally play around with it. Try to make it interesting. Try to make it like you actually want to make something work. So if you were a child, right? Let's go back to childhood. I'm actually going into full on psychology here, but if you're a child and you're playing in the sand, you actually want to make a really cool thing, right? You want to make a freaking fort. You want to play freaking soldiers or whatever. You want to play cars in that freaking castle that you made, right? So it's the same thing. And as you learn how to play in the sand, you start making more cooler things, right? So it's the same thing here. And as you learn your tools, so for example, if I want to add a fill, or actually, you know what? Let's say I want to, yeah, I want to do this, right? And then we can actually fill it in. So we have this interesting design. I don't know what this design is, but you actually start seeing how this brush works, how what this tool does, right? So yes, play around. Okay, I'm going to go through the messages and open up first. Let's see, what do I do here? I will show you the skull designs. Okay, no, this is a bit too far. A bit too far. Actually, I forgot that it's let's see. What is this? Number 18. Yeah. I'll show you how I did all those designs in a bit. Even that is a bit far. Yeah, okay, cool. I've got the whole design finished in. Okay, so okay, never seen anything like this. I'm really glad. It looks like it's a runny Daedric sword or something. Um, I'm actually thinking of making it a Daedric sword. Making it a literally spawn of the Daedra. But I was thinking if I could make it a like a soul reaver, or essentially a soul sucking sword that would be eating souls of the Daedra instead of the souls of humans. So it could be used for good stuff. But let's see, that's a whole new different thing. That's scripting, that's writing, that's a whole lot of other things that I haven't actually touched on properly. Right now we're just going over the mesh. Oh crap, I have only 5 minutes. So, leftover pat. Leftover bat. Okay, cool. How much time do I have if I want to actually go all the whole process? Alright, cool. Alright, cool. Alright, cool. So in 5 minutes, I'll try to just stop rambling and show you everything. First of all, how did I get these cool designs? First, you have to find out how to make an anchor brush. I don't actually remember how I did this. I have some brushes installed in Blender, and then I just used one of those, and then I did a texture, one of the brush textures. For now, I'm not going to explain how to do it. I would suggest Googling it. If I had more time, I would actually show and explain. Hello, Hannes. I will finish in a bit.
Oh, take your time.
Thank you. And the actual designs of the skulls, show you. Because these ones here, they're actually custom. Because I think, yeah, these I downloaded from the internet. And I can actually show you how I use them. Off. Yes, Diantoper off. Because if you keep Diantoper off, it's going to work so slow. Right? So you can actually make this sort of thing work for you. So the only thing I would suggest is just look it up on Google if you want to use this. And then obviously I just played around with that, and the snake hook brush. Whoosh. Right. And that's how I got this design. But then I decided to play around with, as you will see here, let me just... Wow, what is that? You may ask. It is, I believe, I can actually throw in this one, I think it's halfway. No, it's not halfway. I was too hopeful. That's why you have to actually name your projects properly, so that you know exactly where to look for what you need. I think it should be 18. That's right. Yes, there we go. So, what I did was, in Blender 2.9, I believe, and further, there's a new brush called the cloth brush, cloth sim brush. You can literally just do this. It is the coolest thing ever. And that's how I got this design right here.
Wow.
Now, obviously, this is texturing stuff as well. Right? So I would suggest also go play around with these brushes. And then what I did for the next, it seems, let's see, probably from 20 to 51, I was busy doing retopology. Now that is a very, very boring part. Now I understand why everyone hates it. So this is the shadow LP. This is what it is. Let me see if I can actually find an earlier version. No, not this one. You will see that in that version, how I actually did it. This one. No. My apologies. Yeah, there we go. So what I did was I actually started moving let's move these vertices around. And I added shrink wrap modifier. So that is a very useful tool, shrink wrap modifier, to do retopology. So if you actually move it around, you can see that the mesh itself sticks to the high poly. So if I do a couple of these, right? Obviously, this is a very, very crappy job that I'm doing right now, but you get the idea. It actually sticks and it follows the main design. Obviously, you have to make sure that your vertices actually cover everything. And so, also, if you get some really horrible artifacts, just make sure that you make it as close as possible to your high poly. So, the closer you get it to your high poly, the less weird artifacts and displacements you will get, right? And so that was mainly all these saves right here. As you can see, I think right here, yes, right here I was busy trying to lower the try count because it is 6K, even almost 7, yes, almost 7. And in my last one, it is, let's go up there. It is almost 3 1,000 triangles, which isn't actually too bad. It's you can actually use it for in-game. This one that I'm showing you right here it was a very quick, very dirty implementation. I just thank you, I really appreciate it. I really just used a couple of modifiers, just or decimate modifiers, and yeah, just to see what it would look like in the game, and if I actually got it right in the game. So yeah, just like this, and so this is the end. Next is, I don't know if anyone uses the Substance Painter program. I'm just going to close this. We obviously, so if anyone is curious why I'm doing high poly and low poly, if you don't know how to, bake textures and all that, I would suggest go watch Blender Guru, especially the annual tutorial. He explains everything there perfectly. But I'm sure most of you know exactly what I'm talking about here anyway. So we've got the high poly, the low poly, we've got everything. And to bake it, ideally, to get a proper UV map, I would sit and I would create seams, proper seams. I'll mark the seams around, I'll make sure that it's cut properly. And, I would actually make sure that it is, that, my apologies. That it's not this, and it's actually a much better UV unwrap. I will answer your question in a bit. I just want to finish with my lecture. So yes, usually I would make sure that the UV seams and the islands are perfectly cut without a lot of this nonsense, because I do not appreciate this. It makes a lot of very weird artifacts. Usually, usually it makes a lot of weird artifacts. You can see the seams. You can, it doesn't really look nice. Funnily enough, luckily enough, it is such a look at, if you can see the textures here, it is the weapon itself. You can barely see any seams, but you can actually see some weird artifacts. Like, for example, right here, it looks very weird. Yeah. But as for now, just to actually show you, it actually looks pretty good. The rest is me playing with the baked textures. I will finish in a bit. I got the curvature to play with. I think yes, the curvature is indeed. To add this lava, well, like this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, lava-like idea. I think a couple of places we should see the skulls, although they didn't really come out very pronounced, but it's okay. I think we've got one skull right here, but it's okay. And another one here. And yeah, so if actually anyone's interested in seeing how this comes to life with different maps, because right now as we finished modeling it and we baked it, this is what we got, which is actually still a really cool idea. But to actually get that really cool, glowy design, just hit me up and let me know. And I believe this is it. Thank you very much for attending the lecture. I wish I could actually go over all the details, but unfortunately we ran out of time. Technical issues and all that. Yeah, really appreciate it. I really hope you liked it. And let me answer your question. What's the lore story behind this weapon design? Like, where does it fit in the universe? I would say it is a Daedric, definitely a whole Daedric artifact. I would say that it comes from one of the Daedric, probably somewhere like, gosh, who are we fighting in Oblivion? So essentially from his realm. It's a pleasure. I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I shall move on to, well, I'll let Hannes take over.